Many thanks for joining us. Here are the business stories making the headlines at this hour. I am Omobolanli Adeshui. We'll begin with news that the federal government on Thursday disclosed that it was renewing economic ties with Mexico 3 years after it banned Nigeria from exporting hibiscus flowers. Nigeria in 2017 exported 1,983 containers of hibiscus flower, also known as zobo leaves, and earned $35 million within the space of 9 months. Unfortunately, the flower was banned as a result of pest infestation and seen in some of the consignments shipped into the country. And the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Muhammad Mahmoud Abubakar, while receiving a delegation led by the new Mexican ambassador to Nigeria, Alfredo Miranda, regretted the suspension of the country from exporting hibiscus flowers. He pointed out that, quote, "It is regrettable that the suspension of hibiscus trade lasted for nearly 3 years longer than it should and resulted in a slowdown of the momentum of export activities around hibiscus," end of quote. The minister said the period was used to decisively overcome the proximate cause of suspension of export, assuring that days of copra beetle infestation of some of the hibiscus consignments are behind them. He pledged that the ministry would work closely with off-takers and exporters through the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service, NACS, to facilitate the building of chambers dedicated to methyl bromide fumigation of hibiscus, while noting that the renewed ties will lead to a robust diplomatic relationship, strategic trading, as well as rewarding traffic for trade. Abubakar stated that Mexico is not just another country that Nigeria has good diplomatic relations with, but also a strategic trading partner and the biggest importer of the country's hibiscus. And with a global market estimated at $110 billion, the federal government has called on investors to explore the development of the nation's 42 billion barrels of bitumen reserves. Speaking at a virtual clarification session organized by the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development in collaboration with PwC Nigeria, the Director General of the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency, Dr. Abdulrazak Garba, said the country holds the 6th largest reserves of bitumen in the world. He said the mineral remained unexploited for years, thereby creating a massive opportunity for domestic production of bitumen instead of the country's bitumen importation. The Director General of Mining, Cadastre, and the Chairman of Bitumen Committee, Engineer Obadiah Simon, who stated that Nigeria is blessed with a lot of mineral resources which have remained untapped, said although there had been tremendous successes, there are many more opportunities for improvement, particularly regarding the bitumen resource. Leader mining practice at PwC Nigeria, Cyril Azobo, who explained the firm's mandate on the bitumen program, said the scope of the PwC mandate was to ensure uniqueness and peculiarity of the exploration, development, and extraction. And an analyst has reacted to the recent drop in the value of the Naira as the exchange rate between the local currency and the US dollar fell beyond the 700 Naira to a dollar threshold at the parallel market on Wednesday, 27th of July, 2022. MD CEO, APT Securities and Mutual Funds Limited, Kasim Garba, highlighted CBN's ban on sales of forex to bureau de change operators and lack of foreign direct investments as some of the major factors responsible for the huge drop in the value of the Naira. Garba, who spoke on IBrandTV's Business Breakfast show, noted that after 1 year, the gap created by the ban on BDCs is yet to be bridged.
One of the major areas that caused the Naira depreciation is the option supplying dollar to be really changed. For years in memory, if one CBN went to intervene to retrain the value of the Naira as a supply, they be really changed. Because it would make life easier for an average Nigerian to approach the really change to get its dollar. Because they need less documentation compared to the bank. And the needs are very limited. So, but this is complete 1 year. And from that time to date, we have not seen the ability of the bank to bridge that gap, which already exists by not supplying to the Biridi chain. That is one area. Secondly, the other issue is the source of the dollar.
Okay.
Our major stake of sourcing the dollar is either dollar in diaspora or through the sale of the crude oil. It is a common knowledge to all of us that today Nigeria cannot be able to export 1.3 million barrels per day instead of 2 million barrels per day that they were exporting before. And that gives a huge gap of a decline of over 700,000 barrels per day, or what we can say that about 30% of our supply decline. And therefore, deny us getting the dollar of that magnitude. The issue is the foreign in diaspora. Diaspora always supply not less than $20 billion to Nigeria, but we are all aware the rising of inflation of the UK, US globally. And therefore, those in diaspora found life very difficult. They said little because of the rising of inflation and the cost of living. Therefore, making them have little savings that they could have remit to Nigeria.
Away from that, the Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange has been inaugurated for the real-time trading with the launch of Eco Gold coins valued at 100 million euros in tranches, which commences the electronic trading of commodities receipt in Nigeria. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony in Lagos, Governor Babajide Sanwo-OLU expressed optimism that LCFE would create limitless opportunities for investors to earn a steady income from electronic trading of receipts of their commodities products in a transparent and well-regulated market. Sanwo-OLU, who launched 58 units of spot contract of Eco Gold coins backed by gold, stated that the contracts could be redeemed at any time. He explained that the coins represented the culture, value, and inclusivity of Lagos State. The launch comes at a period that Nigeria is contending with hyperinflation, rising debt, and a host of other challenges. The exchange's managing director, Akin Akeredolu Ali, who ascribed the delay in the takeoff of the Pan-African Exchange to the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, explained that LCFE operations would enhance the double-digit growth of Nigeria's gross domestic product through de-risking of commodities products and transparent price discovery. Telecommunications companies yesterday kicked against the implementation of the 2022 fiscal policy measures and tariff amendments, which provided that they pay 5% as excise duty for services provided. They rejected the tax, describing it as insensitive, unfair, and capable of crippling the industry in the way and manner the oil industry has been crippled by different challenges. According to them, the industry is already saddled with over 39 different taxes, and the present one being proposed for implementation would only send the telecom sector into a coma. The industry stakeholders are represented by the Association of Telecommunications Companies in Nigeria, ATCON, Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operations in Nigeria, ALTON, and Nigeria Association of Telecommunications Subscribers, NATCOS, asked the federal government to suspend the implementation of the tax policy indefinitely. Domestic airlines lost at least 4.3 billion naira yearly to the restriction to operate 24 hours flights daily to the airport of their choice. Also, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has been urged to help in the growth trajectory of the nation's airlines without relegating safety, rather than slamming them with suspension. Speaking at the 26th Annual Conference of the League of Airport and Aviation Correspondents, LAC, in Lagos, the Chief Operating Officer, COO, IBOM Air, Mr. George Uriesi, said the lack of 24-hour flight operations to major routes in the country was impeding the growth of the airlines. Uriesi said the country's carriers are losing an average of 4 million naira per flight, 12 million naira in every flight, 360 million naira in 90 flights, and 4.3 billion naira annually on every flight lost to Sunset Airport operations.